This is what I'm talking about. When you put one ruler on top of the other, notice how the first centimeter is pretty close, but by the time we start getting out to here, by the time you get to 13 centimeters, it's already a millimeter off. Keep on going, and by the time you get to 17, you're almost 2 millimeters off. So each of these rulers is very similar, but they're not the same. Another source of error is the thing you're actually measuring. Consider $2 bills. This bill measures very close to 15.6 centimeters. If I were to take another one, you'll notice that they'll be very close, but it won't necessarily be the same. This one varies approximately very close to 15.6, but not exactly. Another thing that we can look at the dollar bill is the border. This bill has one border that measures approximately a half a centimeter. But if you look up here, the top is only about 3.5 millimeters. So even though we have two objects which are the same, they are dollar bills, they're not identical. Are we talking about the whole rectangle, or are we talking about just the printed side? Are we talking about how they're printed on the paper? When we measure objects that are the same, we need to look at those things. Two objects that are the same are never identical. The next thing we want to talk about while measuring is the procedure. For example, I'd like to measure the width of this table. I know that the ruler does not start at the end, it starts a little bit in. So here's how you do it. Take the ruler and lay it on the tabletop and line up the end with the edge of the table. Then, with your pencil, make a small mark at the end where it's written 30 centimeters. Then move the ruler up so the line you made is right on the 0. Next, making sure the ruler is parallel to the edge of the table, make another line right on the 30. Notice I'm looking immediately above the number to reduce the parallax error. Finally, I line up the 0 one more time, and placing my eye immediately above, I'm measuring it at 15.7. So how long is this table? Well, I know the last measurement was 15.7. So I said the first one was 30. The next one was 30 more. And the last one was 15.7. Adding them all up, this table is 75.7 centimeters wide. Now, a better tool for using to measure the table would be a meter stick. The advantage with the meter stick is you don't have to move it over and over to measure something large. So here's how you do it. First, you place the meter stick so that the 0 is right on the edge of the table. In this case, I'm measuring with my finger, I'm feeling with my finger, the 0 is right at the end. To avoid parallax error, I'm putting my eye straight above the number to be measured, and I'm reading it straight off the scale, 75.9. 75.9 centimeters. Notice there is a difference of 0.2 centimeters with the two ways of measuring it. This is with a 30 centimeter ruler, and this one was the meter stick. So let's take a look at this metal end on the meter stick. Remember that we said that the 30 centimeter ruler always starts a little bit in case it gets worn out? Well, they've taken that into consideration on the meter stick. On the meter stick, the metal edge is exactly at 0. And to make sure it doesn't get worn out, they've put a metal cap on it. The next type of error I'd like to talk about is human error. The best way to look at a ruler when you're measuring something is straight above. So what I would do would be to look straight above the ruler like this and cover up one eye. Don't look at your measurement from an angle because you'll get something called parallax error. Instead, you cover up one eye and look straight above the measurement. That way, you get the best reading of the ruler. Now I'm going to measure this piece of paper using a ruler. Okay? So I'll put the ruler down, make sure it's lined up, and say, oh yeah, it says 8.5. So this piece of paper is 8.5 centimeters wide. No, wait a minute. Those are inches. Remember, the centimeters are smaller. So it's not an 8.5 centimeter wide piece of paper. This piece of paper is 21.6 centimeters. So another human error would be not remembering to use the centimeter side of the ruler. The last thing we want to talk about is reporting. So let's take the dollar bill again. If I were to measure this and report it, I would say that it is 6.6 centimeters by 15.7 centimeters. That would be the length and the width of the dollar bill. But I would have to specify that this is the length and the width of the entire piece of paper. Some other people might consider a dollar bill not the piece of paper, but the printed area. So you need to be specific. When you're reporting on a measurement, are you talking about the entire piece of paper? Or are you talking about just the printed part? Because on dollar bills, the borders are not the same. In the cutting process, the inked part is never quite the same. So as long as you say that the 6.6 by 15.7 is the piece of paper, you're safe in your reporting.